Okay, so our next speaker is Yongguo, did you say Mei? He's a software engineer at the Virginia Bioinformatics Institute. So again, as you have heard a lot about INISI today, and we've had talks more on the biological side, more on the modeling, mathematical side, and now more on the computational side in terms of the various people, their backgrounds, and what they bring to these big interdisciplinary problems. And so he's associated with NIML in the MIEP program. His PhD is from Purdue University in electrical and computer engineering, and he worked at Microsoft with the Microsoft Windows Fundamental Group in Redmond, Washington, concentrating on improving the Windows 7 operating system for 4 years before he joined NIML at VBI. The title of his presentation is the INISI Tool Suite.
Thanks for the introduction. So obviously I see like everyone from everywhere, like all over the world, and we have many disciplines that they've introduced. So here hopefully I can provide a little bit aspects, insights from engineering side. So I'm primarily a software engineer, but as I also got my PhD at Purdue, so I also do some research, write a few papers, and develop some algorithms. So INISI tool suite, INISI already everybody pretty familiar with a lot of synonyms, terminologies. INISI stands for Enteric Immunity Simulator. So it's really like simulation model and simulation. It's very, very complex. As Stephen Yubon introduced earlier this morning, it's impossible. I mean, we have to compromise at this level or that level, and it's impossible to simulate all the details. Because I'm an engineer, I mostly focus on performance. If it could not run, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You have to make it run and run fast. So we have to use many different technologies. Of course, you guys are very familiar after yesterday's one-day-old effort, familiar with ODE-based modeling and the fabulous tool capacity. I mean, everyone have used it to develop your own model, small, bigger. So it's very great. There are I would say, many models are based on ODE. However, there are many scenarios. Since we try to model broader and two different scenarios, we have to use different technology for different cases. So this is really like when I got here about 3 years ago. I looked, well, there's pretty much two major technologies. You have heard ODE and ABM, agent-based. Well, because agent-based, it's originally used in the social studies and economy studies because it's so natural to model the human behaviors. They are individual, independent. They are moving. It's very natural here in the MIEP. We introduced ABM because looking at the cells, the tissue level, the cells are moving. They are interacting. So it's also very natural fit, ABM. So when we develop this, but I look at other things. So that's need to do later in the list. It's INISI SDE. ABM can model, definitely can model stochasticity, but it's very complex. But in some scenarios, we want to keep the simplicity of the equations, but at the same time, we want to add stochasticity. So that we try to use stochastic differential equations to model. In addition to the ODE, you add randomness into those equations. It becomes random processes. It's called stochastic differential equation. So this is the next one. The next one is ISE. We call it ISE because it stands for in silico experimentation. So you really full capacity. A lot of other tools as well. You have to download it in your local machine where you have to run it, right? here we try to provide a web-based interface. This right now is only we only publish for those models we have published in our center. So you can play, you can change the parameters on the web, online, basically anytime, any devices, any small or big, and you can change the parameters and you can submit, and we will get the results back to you. So we will play, definitely we'll play a little bit in the afternoon, the hands-on sections, the SDE, ISE, and if we have time, we can show you more of ABM. And we, the INISI MSM, representing the multi-scale modeling platform, it's still under development. Hopefully in the afternoon session, I can show you a little bit the ongoing work. And we also have explored INISI NN. It's artificial neural network technology. It's another type of model. It's more data analytics model. So let's, I will go over, since Stephen, you already covered ABM, and also actually covered ABM pretty well, so I will start from SDE. So this is the outline for the INISI stochastic differential equations. So first, why we want to do stochastic modeling? Well, a lot of cases we say deterministic is pretty good. Well, sure, we don't need stochastic, but there are some cases we do need that. And then we will talk about the tools in computational biology, and then introduce the INISI tool. And we'll show you a case study on the CD4 T-cell differentiation model, and then we will conclude for this. So first, why stochastic modeling? There are probably like model and simulation can capture existing knowledge and mechanisms, synthesize all those small knowledge discovered in many papers into a model, and then you actually can discover new knowledge by applying a lot of computation technologies like network inference or many other things. So it's modern simulation can help you to synthesize, capture existing knowledge, at the same time can help you to discover new knowledge. And modern technologies, we have talked about equation-based ODE. We have also used a lot of PDE, partial differential equations. Those are all mathematical equations. And then we have agent-based. Those are several major ones. Why stochastic modeling? Because determinist models only model average behavior. Unfortunately, a lot of biological processes are stochastic. So you will see from the case study, you will see some, when everything is deterministic, you run 1,000 times, get all the same results. But then, when you run the stochastic, you can see very interesting scenarios. Sometimes it's double positive, sometimes it's single positive. Those scenarios will show up. That's exactly you can observe in the experiment. So for the stochastic modeling, probably many of you know this Gillespie's algorithm. It was originally developed for the chemical reactions or biochemical reactions. Because you know, like biochemical reactions, if they are mixed well, you can use the master equations, right? But then when the particles numbers are very small, and then you can see the stochasticity because of the particle effect when the cells are very few and they are moving, they have some chance to meet, to react, or they not, right? But when the number are huge, then it's pretty much deterministic. But this is the original Gillespie's algorithm idea, and there are a lot of variations to improve the performance, to speed up the simulation. So I would say Gillespie's algorithm is very powerful. I mean, there are many models have been developed based on that algorithm, and can accurate simulate stochastic chemical reactions. However, as we already learned our model, some of our model is pretty high level. Instead of go all the level to the detail of chemical reactions, we actually have like species and different reactions. So its protein level is even higher than that. So and also when the numbers getting big, the graphic algorithm is very expensive to run because it's based on the individual simulations. So here we say, well, there may be a compromise, there are middle point in the between. So that's stochastic differential equations. So you can see the first part, dy dt, it's equal ft. That's just OD, right? But if you add the stochastic at the end, the randomness, the RVT, so it's a noise part in some in the physics you can regard as noise, but here we can say that's a random processes. So these stochastic differential equations can be used to model stochastic processes. And they have been widely used in the economy, especially in the last 10 or 20 years for the economic markets and also some physical systems. And when I first got this idea about 2 years ago, I tried to search for the existing solutions, right? Whether there's a SD solver in the MATLAB, or they actually indeed there. I found one for the MATLAB, I found one in the ARM. But unfortunately, our CD4 model has like 60 of the equations, right? So if you type, say A1, A2, A60, but actually more than that, each equation probably has 3 or 4 species, right? And then when you get everything into MATLAB, I use MATLAB a lot at my PhD study. But I only managed like 5, 6 equations at most. It's easier and you can understand everything, you can do whatever you want. But unfortunately, we have like 60 equations. Here it's almost impossible to manage all those things in MATLAB. That's the reason we use capacity, right? We use capacity. But then we do not have a stochastic differential equation version kind of for these computational biologists. That's the reason I say, well, maybe this is a good contribution if we dig further, because obviously these people need this. But why we do not see, when I search the literature, I only see 2 or 3 SD models in computation biology. Well, that's one reason is like we do not have tool. I mean, if we do not have tool, it's very hard for you to develop those with MATLAB or R. I mean, R is used primarily for the statistics. That's always say, well, if we can have a web-based, everybody can use that. That's wonderful. So this is really we extend like we had at the VBI at Virginia Tech. We have this very successful story for the capacity. So we are thinking, well, if I can extend this and move this to the web, and so that everybody can do this modeling very easily. And just like you learned, it's very easy to use for a lot of things. And that's really our goal for development work. It's easiness of use. Otherwise, it will be very challenging. So I pretty much already covered this slide. So I just get a little bit into the development depths. In this SD, it's the first, to our best knowledge, the first SD modeling tool targeting for computation biology. And the front end is a forms, right? It's a forms, you have many fields, you fill up and you submit. And then the back end, we have the CGI, the pro code, and the back end further, you send a lot of command to capacity and R to do a lot of computations, processings, solving the stochastic differential equations, and then send the result back as figures. And also, potential, you can download the results at the table. So the numerical algorithm here, it's used a very classic solution for the SDE. It's Moriyama method. So essentially, it's a two-step solution. So the first step, you kind of already learned. So let's build the average case first. Let's calibrate the model using ODE. Let's calibrate the average behavior. And then I will say, well, let's see what the critical species you have observed with a lot of stochasticity. And I want to kind of, if we say, well, I want to add some stochasticity to this equation, to these species, or to these parameters, whatever. I mean, our tool will provide the ways for you to add those stochasticity. It's really like, right now, the initial stage, it's separated in two steps. Well, ideally, we can integrate them together. That may be one of the future work we will consider. So as I already said, right now we provide three ways of adding the randomness into these equations. You can add directly to the species. You say, well, I observe already like TH17 cells, 5%, 6, 10% variation. Sure, you can add to the species level. Or you can say, well, reaction. The reaction has some randomness. A plus B equals C. Well, sometimes 100%, sometimes 90%. There's some randomness. You can add over there. Or you can say, well, this reaction has three parameters. This K3, I understand it's related to some something. And yes, some randomness. Yes, you can add the randomness over there. So basically, we want to provide many places easy for you to add those randomness into the equation. And this is a web, and we will play this afternoon, but this will give you a snapshot. So basically, you can upload a CPS file, that's a capacity file. That model is already calibrated. And then it will automatically get all those node numbers, names from your file, right? From your file. And then you can choose what I want to observe, right? I mean, for those 9 node model, you say, well, I have this node 1, node 2, node 9. And let's just do the nodes, okay? You say, well, for the node 2 and node 3, I want to add 3% for node 2, 5% for node 3. That's what we observed in the experiments. And then you kind of imagine your network. You can see, well, if I add some randomness to this node, it will impact, right? It will impact the later other nodes and other reactions. And then you can imagine, well, what I want to observe. Well, you want to observe node 9 maybe. You want to observe node 8. And you can select those nodes you want to observe. And you click submit. So basically, you add a few nodes you want to add the randomness, and you pick the output you want to observe, right? And submit. And then you can observe the results back with those nodes you observed. So really, it's like after you have a good ODE model, we want this ODE model to be good solid. And then you say, can I find out if I do some stochastic experiments on some nodes, what is going to be the result? So you will click, after several seconds, you will see the result. There's really very convenient way. I mean, we talk about ODE and we talk about ABM. ABM is very natural. If you have those rules, have the randomness, you throw the dice, right? I mean, it's very natural for the stochastic modeling. Unfortunately, transform one ODE model to ABM model, it's not that easy. I mean, we all know ABM model these days are still pretty much code. It's XML or even C code or Java code. It's pretty challenging. So I think this SDE tool provides a middle ground for now, and also it's computationally not that expensive. And you can very quickly observe whether, well, if I see the randomness here, whether I can observe some randomness from the output and whether that's confirmed to our prediction. So this, we probably will go over this a little bit if we have time for this big model, but our plan for the afternoon hands-on session is we do those manual, yes.
So, quick question. So, the previous slide,
Yes.
the one that you were simulating, you were just simulating what the system would have been for a particular node if the differential equation was stochastic. Is that correct? Or am I missing?
Yeah, it's actually simulated the whole node. But the thing is, like other nodes are just doing the regular ODE.
Okay. So
Propagation, basically each time step you propagate these.
So it's like a hybrid ODE.
It's hybrid. For now it's hybrid. Yeah. So this, it actually, if you, we have a paper published last year in the BIBM 2014, and you can see the results, and you can also download the paper from our website. We have shown these to a very powerful, you can apply to a very comprehensive big model of 94 species, 46 reactions, and 60 ODEs for the CD4 T-cell differentiation model. So you have seen this a lot. And here basically we assume Treg and TS17 has a tight equilibrium regulated by FOXP3 and R1 gamma. These actually have some theoretical background from biology. So since we will go over maybe a little bit in the afternoon, so I don't want to go over all the details too. Basically, this is really, you want to find out a balance point. If you break something, you will see a lot of interesting scenarios. That's what you want to find out. It's not, well, I just inject randomness to any node. You will not, many nodes you will have no effect at all because it doesn't impact other nodes. But if you see a balance, like, well, if I break a little balance, if I have randomness in this experiment, you will see maybe dramatically different. That's something at least to start. You want to see, you want to play with the model. That's exactly the idea of the CD4 model. Well, let's actually did this work. We found this balance point and play with it, and really show some good results. Double positive or single positive, those scenarios. So it's very interesting to have this. So it's so as I said, we will play a little bit more. So I don't want to go from, since we have limit of time in the morning. So as a summary, the major contributions, we are the first one. It's a web-based SDE tool, and you can very conveniently play with the tool you develop with capacity, and you can add randomness into it. And it's target audience computation balanced. And we have used a very comprehensive model to show this is a really powerful tool, very effective. For the future, we are definitely, as I already mentioned, we have a lot of areas we could extend this work. And we also can develop more SDE models, and also whether we can integrate. That's a long term. I guess this will be very challenging because we say we calibrate the model with average data, right? Can we really calibrate the model with not just average data? Can we also calibrate the randomness part at the same time? Basically, we try to integrate these two into one. That will be very challenging. And we will also want to investigate the multi-scale modeling part. Okay, that's pretty much all I want to talk about the stochastic differential equation, this tool. We will play a little bit this afternoon. If you have any questions, yes.
I'm wondering, how is the sensitivity analysis available for Basio and what we saw earlier in the talks? Does that correlate with which parameters should be applied to stochastic modeling?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Actually, I think Ajay is probably the better person. That what I learned is Ajay really like played with the sensitivity, like which are those impactful, whether that's conforming to the experiments or not. And then you pick a few, well, you can pick every node, but that's right. I mean, as a research, you want to start with a few, like 2 or 3 nodes. Then you really want to observe, you have some assumptions, predictive, right? You want to predict it. You have a lot of assumptions. If I break this very cheap, very balanced process, we will see something, yes. Definitely the sensitivity analysis in the capacity played a role when you pick the nodes, yes. Any other questions for you still? Oh, yes.
I just have a computation question. Is how long? Just when you say you run this one on the T cell models, have
Yes.
96, and then what's the running time?
I
Like
think,
how long web based? How long I have to wait to get the result?
for these seconds, right? I think it's seconds. Yeah.
Like 10 or 15 seconds, probably.
It's basically a hybrid model. You know, capacity when you developing the model is very time consuming, time expensive because you have to think very carefully which nodes, how do you represent. After the model is constructed, simulated is very efficient. I mean, capacity provides very efficient numerical solutions for time course or even steady states. A lot of those algorithms very effective. This is time course data, obviously. It's even though we add the randomness in each small step, but still it's still very efficient. It's not like agent-based. I know you probably think about agent-based. It will run 20 minutes or even 1 day, 2 days. It's exactly that's like we originally look at what technologies we were using 3 years ago. We were using APM and these. But then I say, wow, this ABM, wow, it's very time consuming. Like it takes 30 minutes. Right now we reduce to like 5 or 6, but still quite long. I mean, so this is really it's a middle solution. I try to see, as I said before, what I looked for the literature and what other fields people are using at that time. Yes.
So, do you think that if you increase the number of random nodes in the model, your simulation will be as efficient as
That's another very good question. At this time, we haven't. There's a lot of. If you search the literature, you will see stochastic differential equation. You will see many books on that. Each book is missing. Whether that's real, I mean, I definitely. There may be very touching issue at some time when you have large number of stochastic, and many properties will change. And whether that numerical solution is very effective or not, we have to investigate. So right now we say, as far as we are doing, we limit to 5, or if they really want, I mean, that 5 at least right now works for a lot of, most of the time in our lab, in our center. So and we observe some pretty good results, but we haven't really played a large number. But that's maybe mathematician or mathematical scientists. I mean, that's their role. All right. So I will move on to the next one. In silico experimentation. So this is really another. Since I already introduced SD, so this will be very easy to understand. So this is similar, a web-based tool, but it's really to do the simulation. This is to ODE simulation instead of stochastic differential equation, SDE. This is really just ODE. Backend, it's all capacity. Okay, it's all capacity. It's really like, the idea is like, well, we have this model, and what people are going to do, they have to download the model from our website or biomodel.net, and they have download capacity, right? And then they have find the proper version and then run it, you can see. But here is really like, we provide a web-based. Okay, this is the model we have published 2 or 3 months ago, 1 year ago. And there are 5, 10 parameters you can change. You want to change and you want to play with it. It's very basic sandbox for you to play very conveniently. And this is similar, it's a technology, we use front-end web browser, back-end pro capacity, we use Ajax, some web technologies to show the result. It's really like, technology-wise, it's very similar, but this is limited to the published models. And we customize each model because we know for the CD4 model, we want you to play with these 5 nodes, 5 parameters, and you change, and you can observe these 4 figures. So everything is customized. So they really provide you a very streamlined experience. Instead of you choose the node, you do, and you kind of, especially for the new big models, you're lost, right? I mean, very easy. But this one, I say, well, these 4 figures, that's published in our publication. And we show exactly these 4 figures to you. Okay, all the lines, everything exactly just like in the paper. And that's a few parameters you can change. And you can observe what's going to happen. So that's really like provide a very convenient tool for you to play with our model. So we will play this in this outline as well. Okay, so I guess yes. Okay. Yes.
So this web interface
Yes.
basically restricted to the model published from this
Absolutely.
group,
Yeah.
not from
Yeah.
the outside.
Yeah. We could extend, but to start, we want really people have a great user experience. I mean, if you provide the capability to run whatever the model they want, sure, we can do that theoretically. But then the experience might not be like that. But these really provide you like publication-ready experience for our models, and you can play with the parameters. Okay. Any other questions for this? Yes.
This might seem a little off track, but
Yes.
what I'm asking is, so you're saying that in this, after we build the model and everything, we have to choose which nodes we are trying to.
In this case, it's parameters.
So basically, it's our, the entire thing is not automatic. So we have to choose, okay, so these are the nodes that's going to behave in stochastic fashion, these are the nodes that will work
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
stochastic fashion.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of trying to understand, like, so is it more on the, like, is it an interface that you guys are trying to say, okay, biologists, development knowledge can use this? Because,
Yes.
like, why wouldn't I do this in
Exactly. Exactly. Basically, I think Agile will definitely explain a lot of why we choose those 5 or 6 parameters. Basically, if you turn off, like, put these TF gamma to 0, and then you will trigger which phenotype, right? And if you do that, you will differentiate into different. Those 5 or 6 parameters or initial values. Basically, what I want to set the initial values for those species are specifically picked, so that if you cut off these and turn on this, you turn to TS17, and if you cut off these 2 and turn on the other 3 or 1, and then you get another. Any other questions? Okay, so those are 2 web-based tools. Now I want to introduce a little bit more skill, although we will get a lot of details. Dr. Baskania will get to last Thursday. We'll for one day focus on model skill modeling. So here I just want to present a little bit, as my background is more software engineer, so we provide some details and insights of the implementation. So why we want the model to be, as we get more comprehensive, we say, well, we want to model the tissue level. Okay, we have some histology images like the lesions. And then we have definitely for immunologists, they like the flow data, right? We can count the cells, okay, the cell counts. And we can also have cytokines, they are moving in the tissue. And we also have proteins, we can get off Western blots data, right? And we have genetic data, clinical data, a lot of various data. And they are focused on different scales. They are focused on different, at different level of the same problem, I would say. I mean, often it's the same problem, but they are focused on different scales, different levels. And unfortunately, there's no existing ready-to-use tool. There are many, right? If we say SBML tool, there are many. I mean, a lot of tools they are doing ODE. Well, there are some tools to PD, and there are some tools to ABM as well. But then when we look at those real platforms, can easily stitch all these levels together. I mean, it's very challenging, as you can see, how to match between the scales. That's as Stephen this morning said. Probably the worst idea is like you just throw a model of this scale and try to just match these two models together. That's probably the worst idea. You have to do something. I mean, because different scales have different data, have different nature, have different simulation technologies. So really, like developing this platform, we had two goals. Like make it generic, make it like you can add on other model technologies. Right now, these platform in the initial development, we can integrate OD, we can integrate PD, and we can integrate agent-based model. But because we are based on the Java object-oriented programming, the paradigm, so for whatever other, we are actually thinking about neural network model. We can also add to it. It's really we want to develop, strive for the best user experience. We want to make this user friendly so that the computation biologist like you can use it without really like need to write the code or need to understand a lot of what's going on underneath. So another goal is like, of course, we want to say whether we want to use this platform to develop some good model scale models. We have models of tissue level. We have models of the intracellular model. Can we put them together? What we will see if we knock out something inside the cell, what we going to see in the tissue level? When you have many cells moving. If you knock out one specific gene from one specific cell types, what's going to happen? That's if you can simulate this, obviously you can test your hypothesis in this very comprehensive level very quickly, right? I mean, instead you have to prepare your mice, you have to do that months of work. So hopefully, I mean, ideally that's a goal. Like we want to test if I knock out this gene. That's inside the cell. They will secrete different proteins, and they will secrete different proteins in the environment, and then we will trigger different reactions from the neighbor cell, and then the whole tissue level phenomenon will be different. We want to observe this in this model scale model. That's exactly why we want to bring up this model scale. So here you already see this. Slide. Since I already talked a lot, I don't want to repeat too much. Basically, each level have different technology, different tool, and different time and space scale. And this is the architecture. Okay, so we have the ABM, and then we have the PD solver, OD solver. The OD solver, we actually use capacity. Okay, so the whole platform. And we have visualizations. The whole platform is based on Java, and capacity is in C. So we have to use the technology called the library wrapper to wrap it up. And the left side is code, and you change the code, and the right side you see the visualization. You can see different region. We have a different color of the background to show you the cytokines. There may be like some cytokines, if inflammatory, you want to make it red or turn to red. Okay, if it's green, that means this area is more regulatory region. And then you can see the cells are moving, they have different colors. So it's really like you can observe this in the real time. Since maybe we have limited time, I don't want to get all the details. Basically, we try to use this object-oriented programming paradigm for this. So we have OD solver, it's one object, okay? The cell, the T cell is one object. All the things are objects, and each cell then call an OD solver. Say, can you solve this equation for me? This is the capacity file, and then this is the initial conditions. Solve this for me, and see what are those cytokines I want to secrete into the environment. So it's really like each cell check its environment, check the cytokines, and throw all the information to the OD solver, to the capacity OD solver. Say, well, this is my intracellular model. Could you solve this equation for me? These are the initial conditions from the environment. And then after I get the result back, the cell will secrete different cytokines into the environment. And the cytokines will diffuse into the environment. As you see here, pretty much is diffuse into the environment, then will impact the other cell types. Also, everything is object. I guess this is too much detail. So lastly, I want to say, well, we are still very initial. Like there are a lot of work we need to do, like whether we have to reduce the model instead of use the huge model. That's probably That's probably a bad time. We have to do something. So in general, for this multi-scale model development, it's a divide and conquer. It's iterative. You have to have good models for each scale, and then you do some integral fitting. For future work, so definitely we want to have some performance implementation, and we want to study some. Right now there are 2 or 3 things we are considering how to match different scale. Like, do we have every cell to have one OD solver of its own, or we say, well, many cells can share one OD solver. I mean, if everyone has its own OD solver, it's very computation. It's very expensive. So we are considering several technologies to try to improve the performance, and ultimately we'll get this into the high performance computing cluster. And for future, another future direction is like, if you have multiple type of data, stochastic data, how we are going to deal with that. As I already, in the very first several slides, we said we have these historic changes, we have these, we have many different type of data. How can you utilize them for these really model scale? This is really like, for the model scale modeling, it's quite initial, honestly. I think it's very initial stage. We are at a very good time. We hopefully see a lot of exciting outcomes from the studies in this area. I guess this will end my presentation. If you have any questions, maybe a few, I can think. Yes.
I'm just curious, I'm from the industry, so my construction, all of this is a little bit different. Can you cite an example of an industry that's already doing this?
We just see a recent paper. I forget where it was published. It's for drug development. They try to have multi-scale model for the drug development. Because drug development, they have PK/PD model, but at the same time, they try to put another the intracellular model together. I don't know all the details, but that's one very recent paper we have seen. They try to put these two together so that you really can help you better to do the PKPD modeling. Yes. There are a few studies. I guess the same in general, for the modeling and simulation, we do see people have higher and higher needs or requirements. Well, originally in the 70s, we probably one-two equation, very good model for one small process, reductionist approach. People were very happy, but these days, no. I mean, we have to use a lot of different technologies, like for the biology. I mean, that's well, we will hopefully we will see more and more applications on this. Yeah. But it's going to be challenging, honestly. Because if you can build a good solid model for each skill, it doesn't really make too much sense. You put everything together and you don't know how predictive is your model. But in our center, we try to do these things really careful. Only this CD4 model, it's very solid work. And then we start to extend to SDE. We start to extend to the multi-skill model. Yes. Any other questions?